Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom, the walking, talking encyclopedia. Hemoglobin, the science of oxygen absorption, utilization, and excretion of carbon dioxide. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known. My greatest discovery, Divyank, the divine design of nature, with which the perfect objects are designed and created. Divyank, the result of 60 years of integrated education. Impeccable wisdom is enlightening, and integrated knowledge is empowering. To understand hemoglobin completely, let us first understand what is blood. Blood is a carrier of life, and without blood, we cannot survive and die. 5 liters of blood is there in the body. If it reduces by 1 liter through accident or any other reason, it could be mobilized with negative feedback mechanism by mobilizing from lower limbs or the organs which do not need blood immediately to the organs which need immediately, and also mobilize from spleen to the central blood. That is the reality. But if it is more than 2 liters, then central nervous system positive feedback comes to mechanism, and if things don't work in time to mobilize completely, person could die. From that angle, understanding hemoglobin is capacity to carry oxygen, utilization, and throwing carbon dioxide is absolutely essential for homeostasis, perfect physical health, emotional health, mental health, as well as social, religious, and spiritual health. From that angle, let's understand the composition of blood first. Any anticoagulated blood, when settles down, it can concentrate into concentrated solids of 45% and concentrated fluid of 55%. A living example, when blood collected from left arm, as you see, is into the test tube and put into centrifuge, mobilized at 3000 revolution per minute for 30 minutes, blood settles down, the clear straw colored plasma is 55%. Then you have settled down RBC, buffy layer of leukocyte and platelets. This is how it looks. And then you can make out concentration of RBCs is 45%. But let me also make it very clear. RBC is not only RBCs, this is along with serum also. This is something at the end. Water content of Earth is 61.803%. Human body is also 61.8034, and RBC also the same thing. Solids will be 38.1966, and this is something which I have already explained. I am not going to get into details at this juncture, but it is important that hemoglobin can contain only 35% of the solid matter. Remaining is only 3.8, which cannot carry RBC, cannot carry mitochondria, cannot carry other organisms which can produce cells to remain. So RBCs take 21 days to form. They last only 120 days. After that they die, go to spleen, and whole things are abolished. This is something which I want you to remember. This is how the whole concept of blood is carrying capacity, hemoglobin, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and from that angle, now let's go to the next stage to understand what is the composition of. As I told you, from Divyank, one thing I find, the first stage of formation of the perfect object of the entire universe revolves around center. First is 22 by 21, which is the first stage of creation. Anything is 21 micron, it has to increase to 22 micron and then go through 10 stages of development, then come to maturation and settle down to the form perfect products. And this particular picture shows that there are 10 stages of red blood cell formation along with the leukocytes as the rest of the things. You have seen that over and over. That's the reason I want to call this as the impeccable wisdom. With the light of Divyank, we can understand the whole concept of perfect anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, psychology. Then you will have nothing much to remember. This itself will help you to understand this is a perfect one. If you can maintain that, you can lead a perfectly ideal physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, integrated being, one with the universe, one with the self, and you can lead a such blissful state 24/7. From that angle is this videos my work is focused on. And I'm sure people are realizing the beauty and they would make optimum use over a period. So now from 10 stages of RBC formation, let's go to the next stage. In 10 stages, I've shown that first stage, totipotent, pluripotent stage, to the third stage, where erythropoietin comes to play a role. Erythropoietin, erythropoiesis, red blood formation comes to the clear picture, and that is what hemoglobin is. The first factor which comes to start playing the role of forming RBCs with red cells from blue cells is erythropoietin. This comes to play a role at third stage of development, that which is burst forming erythrocyte stage. Shape is irregular, size is 25 microns, cytoplasm is basophilic, nucleus is active, mitosis. Function is differentiation and hormone is erythropoietin. If that is understood, this is going to take place from third stage of development, then you are much easier to understand the beauty of hemoglobin. Now, the reason why hemoglobin plays very important roles is its formation of erythropoietin by the kidneys and lungs. What is responsible for erythropoietin to be formed? When you are suffering from hemoglobin deficiency, anemia, or you go to very high levels of mountains where partial pressure of oxygen is very low, then that five factors will start playing very important roles in not letting oxygen give tissue oxygenation to all the 100 trillion cells of the body, and of course all the tissue organs and other things. What are those five main things? One, low blood volume. If blood concentration is less in 5 liters, if it is 3 liters, it comes down. That is one reason. Anemia is the second reason. Low hemoglobin is the third reason. Poor blood flow is the fourth reason. Pulmonary diseases is fifthly. These are the main reasons which I would call the deficiency comes. But of course, there are additional reasons like partial pressure of oxygen low, their cardiopulmonary functions are not very well. There can be many other cardiopulmonary reasons which could reduce hemoglobin production, anemia, and things like that. But all said and done, when oxygen supply to the tissues is reduced, that's the time where erythropoietin is produced by the kidneys and the lungs. And that is responsible for hemopoietic stem cells. Decrease in tissue, erythropoietin, then hemopoietin to fluorescent red cell. And that cycle is what I have spoken about it earlier. If that is understood, formation of RBC, hemoglobin, by and large is hemopoietin hormone. Hemoglobin formation also has the 10 stages. It starts with succinyl CoA plus glycine to start with, ALA synthesis, pyridoxal phosphate, alpha amino beta keto adipic acid, ALA synthesis, alpha amino livolase acid, ALA. Then you have ALA dehydrogenase, which lead to formation of porphobilinogen, then porphophylline 9, and that divides into heme and iron. Now I want you to remember the iron content in hemoglobin is ferrous, not ferric. That's one thing which I want to remember. And second is heme. And heme comes from heme plus globin form hemoglobin. These are the 10 stages of hemoglobin formation which I want everybody to understand. We have 10 stages everywhere. If this is a law of nature, it is designed that way. I think whosoever is designed to start with life, starting from DNA right up to A to Z, has to be remarked. Such a wonderful, beautiful job. The system is so meticulous, so beautiful, and done with it. And I've seen that happening over and over throughout my career of 60 years plus. and done things beautifully well, and this is what I'm trying to share now. Having explained that hemoglobin is absolutely essential for formation of ferrous with globin to carry oxygen, and of course carbon dioxide is absolutely essential. I have explained that over and over and over, and this is what it is. And formation RBC is also 10 stages, every 10 stages. Now let's go on to the next stage. Now, in this particular picture, I have again shown hemoglobin formation 10, but I have not shown 10 because early expansion I have shown only limited things. Whereas late expansion is pro-erythrocyte, early blast, late and middle, and of course reticulocyte, RBCs have not been explained as well I have done in hemoglobin. But I don't want to use that picture. I want to show this particular picture because you can see the model of hemoglobin which I have used in the first picture. You have 4 modules. You can see in the picture also, center you have ferrous sulfate, and all the 4 sides you have globules of heme. Heme along with the oxygenation, this is what it is. So 10 stages of hemoglobin, starting from hemopoietic stem cells to start with at 21 microns, increasing to 22 microns, going through 10 stages, and finally settling down to RBC is something which I want everybody to remember once for all, terminally. And this also is 3 stages. First stage, second stage, and third stage you can see on the top. Alpha globulin and beta globulin, the 2 ones which we in human beings have very common, which we can see in RBC. 2 are alpha globulins and 2 are beta globulins. How the structure is, you can see very clearly in this particular picture. And I'm sure now you can understand how meticulous is the design of nature to produce something in nature so that we can have a perfect concentration of oxygen required through stages, step by step, and be a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy person. Having now understood this, now let's move on to the next slide. Now in this particular slide, right on top, you can see the 4 molecules of hemoglobin, which has got concentration for oxygen being rated in 4 things. To start with, it is the first stage. Then with the pressure, partial pressure increasing, then you can see, in the down you can see partial pressure of oxygen. This is alveolar pressure. I'm not talking about sea level atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is 160 millimeter of mercury, where alveolar is 100, which also follows Debian ratio only. Now in this particular, you have center blue in the middle, which is the perfect ideal stage. But then you have one before, one later. One is before is the one where you can see the pH has increased, carbon dioxide has come down, temperature has come down, DPG is there, chloride is there. But in the post one, pH has come down, carbon dioxide has gone up, and temperature has gone down, and the temperature moves on to the other side much more. Now, having understood this particular picture, so that means as the concentration of partial pressure of oxygen goes on increasing from 10, 20, 30, 40 to 100, the concentration of hemoglobin formation saturation also will go on increasing. Initially it will be less, middle more, then still better, and finally at the end it will be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see right on top how it goes. From that angle, this is a beautiful graph to show how partial pressure of oxygen at alveolar level and its concentration with the hemoglobin is so beautifully designed to make sure that we have absolutely no problem in understanding. Okay, first it will 1, then to second, then to third, then to fourth, and then complete excitation. And as a result, you can see RBC concentration could be more than 5 million per cubic undiluted blood. Hemoglobin in human beings could be 16 grams per cubic, the 100 milliliter. And as far as women are concerned, is comparatively lesser. And in men, it is more because of testosterone. In women, is less because of estrogen. But both can manage this. So as a content, the fat content in women is more because of less of hemoglobin. But in men, it is more of water and blood and concentration compared to the fat content. That is also something which I like you to remember. This is how it goes. So having understood what is the percentage of ferrous sulfate, what is the percentage of globulin, what is the percentage of erythropoietin, what is the third stage, how it forms, how it goes on adding one by one to take it to the next levels of concentration to produce more and more of hemoglobin step by step. So at the end, you should be in a position to get 100% concentration of hemoglobin with oxygenation in the lungs and how it can deliver perfect hemoglobin health. Now let's move on to the next slide. In this particular picture, as I told you, that was absorption of oxygen from atmosphere in alveolar level. Now from there it is carried to the blood and then distributed to the rest of the. Here you can again see the same left shift and the right shift. In the left shift, I have shown decreased temperature, decrease 2 to 3 dpg and decrease hemoglobin, carbon dioxide. And right is more reduced affinity, increased temperature, increased 2,3-T, increased hydrogen. This is concentration. But you can see the same as circle going up. But at this particular juncture, let me also tell you that oxygen also gets dissociated more and more when we are utilizing more and more of it. It is not only absorption, even dissociation curve also you can see the same thing. Absorption on one side, dissociation. This goes hand in hand to make sure that oxygen is absorbed by the cells, lead to cellular respiration, then production of carbon dioxide goes to that, and the blood is carried to the heart. What was 100%, 100 millimeters of mercury at alveolar level at the time of absorption, by the time you come to the capillary level, at cellular level, it literally becomes 38.1966%. And that becomes the venous pressure, and then carried to the heart, then how things are released and start reabsorption. The cycle of in, out, absorption, restriction goes on. As a result, you can see absorption of oxygen carried in the alveolar to the blood, to the heart, distributed to the cells, goes to the cells, cells utilize oxygen and produce carbon dioxide carried through the blood to heart and heart to lungs, reabsorption, and the cycle goes on. As long as your concentration of RBC is more than 5 million cubic millimeters and hemoglobin 16 and you have perfect oxygen, no lung problem, no asthma, absolutely no issue of any nature, you can lead a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. From that angle, role of ferrous sulfate, load of proteins and other things and concentration is absolutely essential to make sure the absorption of oxygen is complete, taken into hemoglobin formation is complete, carrying is complete, dissociation is complete, and the cycle should go on so effortlessly that at every stage you should feel perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. Now, having shown all the concentration of formation of hemoglobin, different stages, and done. Now, at this particular juncture, let me also remind you of one of the slides in erythropoiesis. It is the middle level when hemoglobin starts getting formed. Erythropoietin is the third stage, but almost only at the seventh stage you can start finding hemoglobin when blue color disappears, multicolor starts appearing, then becomes red color, then becomes deeper red, then becomes a blue, and that is carried to the blood completely. B12, folic acid, Ferrous, and other enzymes come to play a role only from intermediate level of formation of hemoglobin. That is also something which I want everybody to realize. Okay, if third stage, it's erythropoietin, which is a hormone responsible for the production. Then seventh stage, it is intermediate when B12, folic acid, heme, ferrous, all that is absorbed, copper, all the essential things are absorbed. Then formation of hemoglobin step by step goes on increasing. And by the time you come to the RBC, you have complete level of 5 plus millions, this 16 grams, complete oxygenation, delivery, absorption, and you will have absolutely no problem whatsoever. And that is the objective of this thing, to understand how beautiful is the role of hemoglobin in perfect physics, perfect physiological health, perfect biochemistry health, perfect psychology health. Having understood that, now let me take you to the next stage, which is life. In this picture, I can tell you with the pranayam, breathing techniques, when you can breathe through the Sushumna Nadi by trying to show that Ida and Pingla are more or less open completely. Sushumna is that. And then in the process, you can do breathing so beautifully, so effortlessly, that you are literally one with yourself, one with your nature, one with your universal consciousness, one with the pranamaya kosha when thinking. As a result, you will have no problem whatsoever in leading a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, otherwise. Having explained A to Z of that, I think this should be more than enough. Okay. This is where yoga, pranayam, meditation, concentration becomes more effort when you have perfect amount of hemoglobin, perfect RBCs, perfect oxygen, perfect blood volume, then you will have absolutely no problem whatsoever. So having done that, let me say it has been a pleasure sharing with you my spiritual experiences, which I have improved over a period by one trying to understand ancient Indian wisdom, Ayurveda, Tantra Vidya, medical sciences, and made the best of both modern science and ancient science put together to get the best benefit for myself, and realize that there are 10 chakras in the body which also get integrated. Then you understand yourself. It's not, we are not only atoms, elements, molecules, compounds, cells, tissues. All the organisms work as one, and that is what it is all about. Anyway, it has been lovely sharing with you my experience and this. Thank you very